I know we haven't talked cameras in a while, and the other day I put out a camera video. I apologize for anybody that is not here for cameras, but for all my fellow nerdsters to the film and photography world, it's a really big week in the world of cameras, that specifically being mirrorless cameras. Today we finally talk about the new upgrade to the Sony A7S II, that being the Sony A7S3. Am I pumped to finally get this damn camera. So I don't need to bore people with the background. I'm sure if you're coming here to talk about the Sony A7S3, you know it's been a long time since we've had the previous one. Don't need to educate you on that. I just want to talk about the potentials of this. As of right now, everything that is discussed is rumors. It's coming from Sony Alpha Rumors, which is a pretty respectful rumor, I don't know, pre-hype site, if you would. They've been right about a lot of things in the past. Kind of learned throughout the last few years that some camera companies like to feed some information to these sites to just get some pre-camera announcement hype. As we've seen from the Canon EOS R5 lately. They actually announced stuff this week, but they've been kind of teasing the idea of things for a while now. And it's a miraculous camera. We just talked about it the other day. Absolutely insane. But with that being said, one of the things that I mentioned in that is, are we sacrificing certain parts of the camera to have some of these crazy things? And as a filmmaker, YouTuber, full-time content creator, I've been a Sony user for years now, but if you know my background, I'm not really tied to brands. I like to work with things that best suit my needs. But it has been confirmed by Sony that later this month, as of now, they are going to be announcing the Sony A7S3. Our prayers have been answered. I'm just gonna go over some of the specs that are gonna be in this thing, rumored, but I think some are confirmed at this point as well. We're gonna discuss those things, and I'm gonna talk about a couple specs where people are gonna be like, wow, why would they not have this in that camera? So this is gonna be a 12 megapixel stacked sensor with a fast readout to this camera, and we'll get into that in a second. I know already people are like, 12 megapixel, really, dude? Records at Full HD, 240 FPS, 4K, 120 FPS at 10-bit, 422, and 4K, 120 FPS raw over HDMI. It's said that it's gonna look pretty similar to the Sony A7R4. Here's a big one, a fully articulating screen, like the one used on the Sony ZV-1. Now, Sony came out with this like kind of run and gun vlog marketed camera a few months ago. My opinion on that was it was a little too late for them to come out with it. I think a year or two would have been more appropriate. It would have been really good for marketing. But I was curious about this, and I've even asked this before on some of my social media pages. I was wondering if they kind of made that camera to introduce this articulating screen, this flip cam setup on their DSLR cameras. We've seen it with the Sony A6600, A6400, and A6100, but those were flip up screens. And obviously what we've seen from the last few years from Nikon, Canon, Panasonic is people like that all around screen. They like that flip out, not even just in the sense of vloggers. I will say when I was using my Nikon camera, having that full screen, even when I was recording more professional stuff at the time, like it's nice to just be able to move that screen around to your liking, right? Very convenient. So if that is 100% confirmed that they are finally introducing to their powerhouse flagship mirrorless camera setup a flip screen, it's gonna be huge, because that's something that for years people have been just like bantering about with Sony. The world's highest resolution EVF, a new kind of passive noise-free cooling system, and this is huge, huge, and a really undermarketed thing right now in cameras. No overheating, no recording time limits, a UHSII card support, an announcement coming late July. Those are the current updates at the time of making this video. Now, the whole point of today's video is I want to talk to you guys about some of these things, because I've already seen some banter online. First and foremost, that it doesn't have 6K or 8K. I'm gonna be really brutally honest with a lot of you guys out there. On a professional standpoint, 6 and 8K is awesome, right? I've worked with a couple cameras throughout the years, behind the scenes, with some more commercial work, and it was great for those scenarios. Also, wedding work, great for some of those certain scenarios. Being able to crop into a situation to get a better readout and a better view of the scenario and scene, it's awesome, right? But the reality is, like I mentioned in the video the other day, we have not perfected 4K. We are still fine-tuning 4K film and content into the world. We're just not at 6K, 8K range with the full technology. Some people can handle it, like my computer could handle 6K, 8K editing and processing, but on a mainstream, on a main level, it's just not a need at this time. It's just more of a flex. It's more of oh wow, that is so cool. Higher resolution. I am much more excited for finding that camera that becomes more of a dominant at this 4K resolution, so we can master this craft, we can master this range for the time being, till we actually move into a steady world where 4K is more obtainable for everybody. You can stream it, upload it, create it at a mass level when 4K is the mainstream. So as a creator, seeing that they're focusing on making this a better 4K camera, I'm not personally that offended about not seeing higher resolutions. And I think most people that would use that as a way to this thing's gonna be junk, I'm willing to bet those people don't even need 6 to 8K resolution in the first place, and honestly underestimate how difficult it is going to be to deal with those resolutions. Higher resolutions is great. There are a lot of people off the top of my head that I even could list right now that would need those higher resolutions. But in these scenarios, a lot of these mirrorless cameras, what we're looking for here is a budget option to be able to expand our filmmaking creation, our photography at that point as well. With that being said in mind, like the whole photography portion, I want to remind people that in this scenario, Sony is not marketing the A7S lineup at this point as a powerhouse photo camera. So to see a lot of people complaining about the 12 megapixel sensor size, I don't think they really grasp the idea of why 12 megapixels is really good for this new camera. And it's gonna be stacked as well. I'm sure it's gonna have new technology. It's probably gonna be way more insane than what people think. But the problem is nowadays, everybody is so focused on higher resolution and megapixels, like I just mentioned. And in the world of photography, especially print photography, that is awesome. Or just photography in general, so you can crop in and you have so much to work with. It's awesome. In terms of this camera, the A7S3, it's not marketed to be the A7R3. 12 megapixels means less processing power, less needs to process more pixels for really no reason, to be honest, because a 12 megapixel sensor is a 4K resolution. Due to the pixels being larger, it should theoretically increase ISO performance. As some of you guys may know, the Sony A7S2 has been around for like 5 years now, right? And it's been a powerhouse camera still to this day. It's definitely fallen behind in comparison to a lot of cameras that are out there right now. It should definitely be cheaper, in my opinion, at this point. But that doesn't escape the fact, for what you are getting out of a 12 megapixel sensor, it's still a very sharp, beautiful camera in 2020. And a reminder, it's got 12 megapixel sensor to it. So Sony A7S3, better 12 megapixel sensor to it, probably gonna have amazing low light, and it's probably gonna have a lot less processing and heating needs, thus making it more of a powerhouse to record at longer times or being suitable for more like hotter situations. When you're an outsider kind of looking at tech specs, I can understand why people would want larger numbers and things. But as somebody who does this stuff on a daily, but who has also worked in those extremely hot run and gun situations, has been in moments where I needed that camera to work, and it didn't at times in the past with other cameras that I've had. For a lot of filmmakers, the need for time and trust in your tool is huge. And what I'm seeing right here in the Sony A7S3 is what they are trying to do with this is make this that filmmaker tool, the camera that you can trust in those situations, the camera that best fits in the resolution that will be utilized. If they can pull this flip screen very beautiful, low light, 4K, cooled, like all this record time in the world, run and gun beast as it's being rumored to be right now, and keep it at an affordable entry level. I think this is gonna be a great pickup, but we will see. We have to still see the camera. We have to still see what it's like when people use it. That's what a lot of people forget in these situations. A lot of these cameras that we're talking about this year, they seem great on paper, they're awesome. It's wild to see what we're moving into, but we don't have these cameras out there on a mainstream level yet. We don't know how the A7S3 is gonna hold up in these scenarios. We don't know how the Canon EOS R5 is gonna hold up in these scenarios right now, because across the board, we don't have a whole bunch of people using these cameras, putting them through hell to actually see what they're capable of. So at this point, it's just hype. Like we are just getting hyped as creatives, creators, and filmmakers. And we should, because if these things are actually gonna come, it's gonna be insane. And I'm pumped for it. I'm excited for the new Canons. I'm excited for the new Sonys. I'm excited for the new Nikons. We are moving into a world of just a crazy control within our equipment. At least that's what I think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you guys excited for the A7S3? Is it what you were expecting? Is it not what you were expecting? Are there any off cameras that a lot of people haven't been talking about lately? It's where you're like, why are people sleeping on this camera over here? Like, for example, I've heard a lot of good things about the Z Cam, which is a cinema-based camera. At this point, all we can do, sit back, wait, have some of us test these new amazing cameras coming out this year, report back to you all, let you know what they're like, and see where 2020 brings us. All right, guys, if you enjoyed this video, likes, comments, subscribe, turn on those notifications to keep up with the gear coming in the future. That's all I got for you guys today. I'm out. Peace.